During the chaotic warring states period of Japan, an era defined by blood, betrayal, and the constant shadow of death, there lived a man whose life was the antithesis of the violence around him. He was a renowned master of the tea ceremony. He had spent his entire existence perfecting gentle, deliberate grace. His world was the whisk, the ceramic bowl, the precise temperature of hot water, and the profound silence between sips. One evening, while traveling to the capital alongside a powerful daimyo, the tea master decided to explore the city alone. In a crowded street, distracted by the unfamiliar sights, he accidentally bumped into a rough, masterless samurai, a ronin, looking for an excuse to vent his rage. He challenged the tea master to a duel to the death, scheduled for the following morning at dawn. The tea master was horrified. He was a man of aesthetics, not war. He had never held a sword in his life. His hands began to tremble uncontrollably. That night, desperate and unable to sleep, he ran to the local dojo of a famous swordmaster. He threw himself at the master's feet, begging for just one secret technique, one trick to save his life. The swordmaster looked down at this trembling little man. He shook his head slowly. "It is impossible," the swordmaster said. "You cannot learn the way of the sword in a night. You are already dead. The fear has killed you before the ronin even lifts his blade." But as he lay there, the swordmaster spoke again, his voice cutting through the panic. "However, I have watched you perform the tea ceremony. When you sit before the kettle, you are not this trembling creature. You are a master. In that space, there is no fear, only pure presence. There is no past, no future, only the tea." The master leaned in close. "Tomorrow at dawn, when you face the ronin, do not think of it as a fight. You cannot win a fight. Instead, just serve tea." The next morning, the two men met in a misty clearing. The ronin was coiled energy, aggressive, blade ready, sensing an easy kill, radiating murderous intent. The tea master, following the swordmaster's advice, did something strange. He did not draw his weapon immediately. Instead, he slowly began to prepare himself as if he were about to serve the emperor himself. He removed his outer jacket, folding it with meticulous, slow, smoothing every wrinkle as if he had all the time in the world. He tied back his sleeves with deliberate grace. He breathed deeply. In his mind, he visualized the tea room. There was no ronin, no killing field, no death, only the ritual. He was entering his domain. Finally, he reached for his sword, grasping the hilt with the same delicate firmness he used to hold his bamboo whisk. He stepped forward, not into a defensive crouch, but into a stance of absolute, centered openness. The ronin froze mid-step. He was a veteran of countless battles. He knew what fear looked like. He knew what aggression looked like. He had never seen this. The man before him was completely defenseless, yet he possessed a terrifying, rooted presence. It was like standing before a void. There were no openings because there was no ego to attack. The veteran fighter, overcome by this display of absolute mastery, slowly lowered his blade. He bowed deeply in respect, sheathed his sword, and walked away without a word. The tea master did not survive because he learned a secret sword technique in the middle of the night. He survived because he accessed an ancient state of mind known in Japanese philosophy as Fudōshin. Fudōshin translates roughly to the immovable mind or immovable heart. It is a concept deep-rooted in Zen Buddhism and martial arts traditions. Fudōshin is the hidden foundation required to actually sustain growth when things get difficult. Fudōshin is perhaps the most critical mental framework for navigating the chaos of modern life. But to use it, we must correct a common misunderstanding. Fudōshin is not about being emotionless, stoic, robotic, or detached. If you try to be hard like stone, you will eventually crack under sufficient pressure. True Fudōshin is not hard stone. It is a deep-rooted mountain. The weather around the mountain changes violently. There are fierce thunderstorms, blinding snows, and burning sun. But the mountain itself does not react to the weather. It does not flinch at lightning. It observes it, remaining grounded and immovable. The tea master felt the fear. The storm was raging inside him, but he found the mountain beneath the fear. Why is this ancient philosophy vital for our growth today? Because we live in an era designed to destroy Fudōshin. We live in the attention economy, which is simply a polite term for a state of perpetual reaction. Our phones are the new Ronin, challenging us to duels 100 times a day. A notification pings, and our focus shatters. The stock market dips, a political headline flashes, or someone criticizes us on social media, and we immediately enter a state of low-grade fight or flight. We are constantly pulled out of our center. We become reactive, and when we are reactive, we cannot grow. Think about your own goals. How many times have you set a plan for growth, a new business idea, a fitness regime, a commitment to learn a new skill, only to abandon it the moment real pressure arrived? We fail to grow, not because we lack the skills or the knowledge. We have more information than any generation in history. We fail to grow because we cannot access our skills when the pressure is on. We lose the immovable mind just when we need it most. We become the trembling tea master in the dojo, defeated by our own internal weather before the battle even begins. So, how do we cultivate Fudōshin? How do we stop trembling and start serving tea when the stakes are high? We must stop trying to hack our way to calmness with clever mental tricks. Fudōshin is physiological before it is psychological. It begins in the body. The Japanese tradition places great emphasis on the hara, the center of gravity located in the lower abdomen, just below the navel. This is considered the seat of one's spiritual and physical power. When anxiety hits, notice what happens. Your energy rises to your chest and throat. Your breath becomes shallow and rapid. You become top-heavy. The first step to an immovable mind is to physically drop that energy. You must breathe deeply into the abdomen, expanding the belly, pushing your center of gravity down toward the earth. You must ground yourself like the mountain. You cannot have an immovable mind in an unstable body. Once the body is grounded, we apply the lesson of the sword master, the transplant technique. The sword master realized he couldn't teach the tea man to be a warrior. He had to show the tea man that he was already a master in a different context. You, watching this, you also have a tea ceremony. There is some area in your life where you possess Fudōshin. Perhaps it's when you are coding, and the complex architecture of software just makes sense to you. The outside world fades away. You don't panic when a bug appears. You get curious. Perhaps it is when you are playing an instrument, or gardening, or cooking a complex meal, or even driving a car on a difficult road. You know what that centered, capable focus feels like in your body. You know the sensation of being in control without being tense. The practice of growth is not about reinventing yourself. It is about learning to transplant that feeling of mastery from the safe container of your hobby into the chaotic arena of your challenges. Before you walk into that high-stakes negotiation, before you have that difficult conversation with a loved one, before you step onto a stage, stop. Close your eyes. Don't try to pump yourself up. Instead, vividly recall the physical sensation of your own tea ceremony. Recall the weight of the whisk in your hand. Recall the ease of your breathing in that moment. Anchor yourself in that physical memory. Then, open your eyes, pick up your sword, and enter the situation, not as a victim fighting for survival, but as a master performing a ritual. In a world that is screaming for your immediate reaction, the most powerful, radical step you can take for your own growth is to remain immovable, to be the mountain and let the weather pass.